Hurry in-store or online and celebrate Lowe's Springfest before it's over. With values on a Cobalt 40-volt string trimmer, was $159, now $119. Or we've got a Cobalt 40-volt mower, was $299, now $249. Give your yard the works this spring. Springfest, a festival of fun and savings for your garden and total home. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Offers valid through 4/28 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. U.S. only.
Q LaGrange, WZEV 90.5 FM Lineville, JC Sports Networks.
Ingalls Markets is always looking for great people interested in an exciting and dynamic career. Ingalls has opportunities in all divisions: retail, distribution, corporate, and pharmacy. With so many stores and facilities, the career possibilities are countless. Ingalls is an equal opportunity employer offering competitive wages, a good working environment, advancement opportunities, benefits, and holiday vacation sick pay. Short-term or long-term employment available. For more information and to apply, visit ingalls-markets.com/careers.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lewis Boyd. I'm the host of Health, Happiness, and Harmony. And I'm also a psychotherapist, so if you need some help, please come and see us. We're available for online appointments and for in-person appointments if you are corona-free. So join us here or join
You are invited out to the grand opening of the Life Experience Studio Church, 113 West Main Street in Hogansville. This is May 2nd at 9 p.m. Guest speaker, Apostle Mario Render. It's Pastor Joe's birthday, so celebrate his birthday with the grand opening of the Life Experience Studio Church, 113 West Main Street in Hogansville, May 2nd, 9 p.m. Be there.
When it's time to tackle projects on your property, come see us at SunSouth. We offer John Deere equipment ready to tackle any project that comes your way. From mowing and mulching to planting and picking, our team at SunSouth will help you find the equipment to meet your needs. Right now at SunSouth, get 0% financing on select John Deere equipment, plus receive additional bonus cash on qualifying trade-in equipment. Come see us at SunSouth. Equipment for those that do.
Some restrictions apply. See deal for details. Expires April 30th, 2021.
7 scholars who began translating the ancient scriptures, completing them in 1611 with what we know today as the King James Version of the Bible. For over 400 years, the King James Version has been a trusted translation for millions of believers, capturing the majesty of God's Word and shaping the worship of generations. Christians have turned to the King James Version of the Bible for faithful and beautiful renderings of God's Word. Its rich tradition has guided generations of pastors, authors, and scholars, while its relevant language continues to shape our words today. The Scriptures come alive as you read through the Bible in the beautiful language of the King James Version. Finding a KJV Bible you can trust should be just as easy as trusting the KJV itself. At thekingjamesbible.com, you'll find a tool built to make searching for a new quality KJV Bible as easy as possible, no matter your needs. Whether you need large print study helps or premium leather bindings, you can find it and more at thekingjamesbible.com.
Hey, Mom and Dad, you want to teach your child biblical values that will last a lifetime? Why don't you check out the best-selling Adventure Bible? It's the #1 Bible for kids, allowing them to take an exciting journey through each chapter with full-color illustrations, memory verses, hands-on activities, and more. The Adventure Bible is now available in 4 translations. It's the perfect Bible to encourage your children to stay in Scripture. Do you know at AdventureBible.com you'll find over 700 free games, activities, teaching resources, and more. Visit AdventureBible.com today.
Hello, I'm Game Warden Charles Fallon with Georgia DNR Law Enforcement. Is spending your days outdoors protecting Georgia's natural resources and serving its citizens sound inviting? If so, you might have what it takes to join the state's oldest law enforcement agency and become a Georgia Game Warden. If you are interested in wearing the gray and green, visit gadnrle.org and click Careers to see the minimum qualifications and application process. Thank you.
Wishbone Fried Chicken don't keep secrets. No secret herbs and spices here. Wishbone Fried Chicken cooks chicken the old-fashioned way, just like Mama. Wishbone Fried Chicken has been a staple in Noonan since 1970. At Wishbone, you can get 3-piece dinners, 2-piece snacks, and even a dinner for the entire family. Open Monday through Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wishbone Fried Chicken, 32 Jefferson Street, Noonan, 770-253-7061. Wishbone Fried Chicken, the best chicken around, period.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Ellis, and I'm the pastor here at Noonan City Church. I want to thank you. You'll find as you walk through that we focus on 3 areas primarily. One is worship, small groups, and local missions. And our purpose is transforming lives for Jesus' sake, helping individuals experience that transformation. And we use these three areas, worship, small groups, and local missions, to help individuals experience that. I hope that as you walk through that you'll get a sense of who Noonan City Church is, and I hope that you'll come and worship with us soon. Take care, and God bless.
I am Apostle Deborah Harris, Pastor Apostle of Kingdom Connected Ministries International at 121 Hillwood Circle, Noonan, Georgia, presenting Connecting the Kingdom, connecting kingdom citizens, kingdom businesses, and advancing the kingdom of God in this hour. Join us each Tuesday at 10 o'clock a.m. with guests who are sharing their faith, business, and ministry. Good morning, radio audience. I am Apostle Deborah Harris, and I am back today in the studio to talk with you about one of our community helpers organizations, and I am going to let Amanda Camp introduce herself to you, and she's going to tell you who she is, and then we're going to start talking about the services that's being provided in the community. I just happened to run up on them, and I was interested in knowing what was going on next door, and she agreed to come and talk with me. So here we are. Amanda, introduce yourself to them and tell them about you.
Radio this morning. It's such a long trip over here. Yeah. My name is Amanda Camp, and I'm the executive director for Coweta Casa. And I've been here in Coweta for 3 years now. But I served as the CASA director for another local CASA program for 17 years. So I've been doing this work for over 20 years now. I'm a proud alumni of the University of West Georgia. Woohoo! Go Wolves! And born and raised next door in Carroll County, and I've always lived in this area, and very proud to be over here. And I love working in Noonan and love the folks over here.
Awesome. I am very interested myself in finding out, all of the things that you all do. So tell me, what does CASA stand for?
That's a great question. So it's a great way to get started. CASA is an acronym because usually when you think of CASA, and the first time I heard CASA, I was like, okay, that's the Spanish word for house.
Okay.
And it was like, sort of, but that not really what we're all about. Right. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates.
Okay.
And CASA is a part of a nationwide organization of over 900 CASA programs across the United States.
Wow.
It's been around since the late 1970s. Okay. It started out in Seattle, Washington. There was a family court judge named Judge David Souza, who was a family court judge, and he saw all sorts of cases, from divorce to custody to child abuse and neglect, delinquency cases. And he knew that many times he had 7 to 10 minutes to make decisions that would impact the rest of a child's life. And he was a very smart man, still is, knew that he wasn't getting the full picture a lot of times. Like what was presented in court was not everything that was going on.
Right.
So Judge Souza came up with the idea of utilizing community volunteers to go out and be his eyes and ears with these cases, to bring him back more information, and to give a very objective, non-judgmental perspective, and to look out for the children. And so he came up with that concept and started that in 1977.
Okay.
And then the National CASA Association started in 1982 to kind of grow CASA programs across the U.S. And CASA came to Georgia in 1988, started as a demonstration project called Kids of Georgia Need Volunteers.
Okay.
And the first 2 CASA programs started in 1989, and we have just grown since then and expanded, and we have now, I believe, 49 CASA programs in the state of Georgia, and we are covering all but just a handful of counties in Georgia.
Wow, and we are definitely blessed to have the program here in Noonan, Georgia, Coweta County.
I agree. So the Coweta County program started in 2004, and we got our own nonprofit status. We started under the umbrella of a neighboring Casa program.
Okay.
And then I was able to start our own nonprofit 501c3 and opened up, Coweta Casa in 2005, and we've been serving kids ever since.
Wow, that is awesome. And, any program or organization that's set up for kids really is so desperately needed in this hour. And it's needed because, unfortunately, we have so many kids that are raised in one-parent homes. That's not the intent of how parents that's not the intent from God, how it is supposed to be. Every child should have both two parents. But we have so many parents that are struggling to try to raise their children. And so the children are really sort of not getting everything that they deserve from a whole household.
Right.
So, then that puts them in a bind, and then it puts them in a place where they will need help. And the parents can't, and that parent, let me say, can't always provide help for them. So now we have programs like yours and many others that are able to reach out and say, okay, this is who we are, and this is what we do. So this is the help we offer. So I'm really blessed and thankful that we have such programs as your program, the Casa program, to be, like you said, to be the eyes for the court system, because the full picture really isn't always painted in the courtroom.
Not at all. I mean, and the judge can only make decisions based on what's presented to him or her in court.
Yes.
So that really is a blessing, and you're right. So many families don't have the support, because even when you do have a two-parent household, if you've had children or you've been around children, you know that it takes more than, mom and dad or mom and mom, what have you.
That's true too.
It takes the community. They need help. They need resources. They have to have a support network to help them with these children. The whole thing about it takes a village to raise a child.
Exactly.
And it's so very true, because even with great parents, I mean, I have 3 kids. I still need help. I have my friends. I have my family. And I desperately have to have them, because if I didn't have their support, I could absolutely be in some of the similar positions that I've seen the families that we work with, that have come into foster care easily.
Yes. And that was going to be my next point about it takes a village to raise children these days, because and I started with the single home, because we know that is definitely a problem, and there's so much help that's needed. But then again, because I have always been that parent that gave other people permission to help me with my children. I told my mother my children used to go spend the summer with her, and she would call me and she would say, I told so-and-so that she needed to stop. I said, okay,
handle it.
You take care of that. I said, because they're not with me. I said, you do whatever you need to do. I promise you, I will not be upset with you.
Absolutely.
And in the same way with the teachers, because I know that teachers are only allowed to go so far. So I'm okay, you handle that. They're with you for this time. And if there's anything that's wrong that I need to take care of, let me know. But other than that, so yes, we do need that support system. We need that help.
You have to.
And your family, my family, we need
your
it.
friends,
Yes, and friends, because sometimes the kids, they will listen to others.
Oh yeah, because as parents, you don't know anything.
Yes,
you don't know anything.
Look, they can be 10 and we could be 30.
Yes.
Hopefully not, but anyway. But we are old.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
You're ancient. Yeah. You don't know anything. This is what's happening now. So yes, we do need that support system. And so you all have counselors that go into the community to help with different cases, I'm assuming?
So what we have is we have very carefully screened and trained community volunteers.
Okay.
That really just have a genuine desire to help children and be a part and do something and to give back.
Okay.
We put them through a very intense screening process. It includes an interview. It includes reference checks. It includes, like a local background check, fingerprints that go through the GBI and the FBI, as well as over 40 hours of training and 12 hours of continuing education every single year to remain active. So those volunteers are not counselors per se, but what they do is once they go through that process, they are sworn in as officers of the court.
Awesome.
And then we can assign them to a case of a child or a sibling group of children that are in foster care.
Okay.
And we would send them out. They have certain requirements to meet and check on that child at least monthly, if not more often.
Yes.
They have access to a lot of records that, other folks would not, including like school records, health records, mental health records, etc. So they're looking at every aspect of this child's life, plus getting to know the child.
Yes.
One of the main things that a Casa volunteer does is they figure out what are the child's wishes. If they're old enough to speak and they can tell their Casa what they want to have happen in their life, who they want to live with, what they want to be involved with, that Casa will put that in their report to let the judge know, hey, this is what this child wants.
Wow.
And then we're also, at the same time, working with all the other folks that are working with this family, whether it's therapists, counselors, service providers. We're checking in on their parents to see how they are doing on their case plan. Have they gotten a job?
Okay.
Are they staying, clean and drug-free?
Yes.
Do they have a place to live? We're checking on them and supporting them as well. And I think that's a huge part of it because at the end of the day, kids want to be with their parents.
Yes, they do.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Doesn't matter how bad it is, how bad the situation is. They want to be.
I've seen it.
Yeah, they want to be with that family. Those family ties are so incredibly strong.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So if we are serving the parents, we're also serving the kids.
Yes.
Plus the fact, as a parent, you would want someone to, fight for you to be able to try to get your children back.
Absolutely. Yes.
And what breaks my heart, and most folks were like, how can you do that? These people have harmed their kids. They've abused or neglected them.
Yes, I know.
But when you talk to them and you talk to them as a person, because that's what they are, they're a human being.
Absolutely.
And you hear their stories of what's gone on in their life.
Yes.
And the trauma that they've suffered. The fact that most of them were abused or neglected as kids themselves. It softens your heart to them.
Absolutely.
And you're wanting to help them and encourage them and be that kind word to say, you can do this. You can make a positive change. Here are positive role models that you can look to make those positive changes in your life.
Wow.
And celebrate their milestones of when they're doing well.
Yes.
Obviously, sometimes they're not doing well, and sometimes they are not able to get things together to get their children back. But we want to treat everyone with that care and compassion and encouragement.
Absolutely.
No matter what. And at the end of the day, we're still going to focus on the best interest of the child. But if we can help support those parents to the very best, that they can do, no matter what the outcome is with the court case, we're making an investment in someone, which I think is absolutely worthwhile and worth our time.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And so that brings to my mind, as you was talking, I was like, wow. We studied a book called Healing Your Wounded Soul by Katie Souza.
Okay.
And that's exactly what you just finished talking about, because the parent was wounded.
Absolutely.
And the parent experienced trauma.
Yes.
And the parent is acting out of their wounded soul.
Agreed.
And the trauma that they went through. And this is the reason why we have this situation that we have with the parent and the child.
Yes.
So now the goal is to really try to help the parent get past the trauma so that the parent can help the child get past the things that they're going, because it's what the Bible calls a generational curse.
Yes.
And it's a repeated cycle.
It is.
And it keeps repeating itself
Until
down
it's
through
broken.
the generation until it's broken. So, and you're right. And I tell you, I have to be honest with you, even as a pastor, that book changed my life. Because when I saw the in-depth study that she did for the book, and when I saw how people are the way they are because of past trauma and wounds, and that gave me more compassion for that person to understand, listen, they're not just doing this to be doing it.
Exactly.
They're not just acting out to be acting out. They're doing it because they've been hurt. They have been wounded. Their soul is wounded, and they have suffered trauma by some form, fashion, or shape. And so now I'm able to be more compassionate and say, you know what? I understand.
Yeah.
And here's what we can do. Let's work through this together.
Exactly.
And I mean, after we studied the book, I had to look back and I had to make sure, am I wounded somewhere?
Right.
And make sure that I took care of that myself as a leader,
Yes.
so that I would not be a part of wounding someone else.
Agreed.
And that's really how it is. And so I just love the way you all are thinking.
It is. It's like our philosophy, and this is what we
Yes.
try to instill in our volunteers. And
Yes.
talking about that previous trauma, there have been studies done, and they call them like adverse childhood experiences, or the
Yes.
ACE study. So if anyone's interested, they can look that up. And it talks about how people experience various adverse childhood experiences. And the more of those that you experience, the higher the level of trauma, the higher level of stress, and how that impacts people for the rest of their life. It impacts their, not just their emotional health and that
Right.
deep, hurt, wounded soul, but it also impacts their health. Like those studies have shown it
Absolutely.
impacts a person's
Absolutely.
health and
Yes.
their brain chemistry for their,
Yes.
the rest of their life.
Yes.
And so having that care and that compassion and trying to encourage them, obviously we can't do it for them. As adults, we can't make them get the help that you know, we can look from the outside and go, oh, you desperately need help.
Yes.
We can't make them do that.
No, we can't.
But we can certainly encourage them, and we can point them in the right direction towards resources within our community and services that are provided, whether it's by the court system, by DFACs, that or just available in the community that they can take advantage of. But making sure that they know about that. They don't know where to look. It's
No, they
very overwhelming.
Yes, it is.
And access to being able to find those things. Because if we work in this nonprofit arena, we all know about each other. We know about the amazing services that are out in the community. We know people there that we could pick up the phone right now and call and say, hey, I need help with X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Families don't necessarily know that. And we're like, well, it's all in the newspaper. It's all on social media. It's on the radio. We're constantly beating our heads against the wall. But the regular, everyday person that maybe needs to take advantage of those services just doesn't know or doesn't have access to the things that most of us do.
Right. And another friend of mine, we were talking on Friday, and she was talking about being a pipeline for additional services. It's a pipeline out there of help and services for people. And like you said, you're able to, pick the phone up and you're able to say, okay, so-and-so need help with this. And you pass, you not pass them on, but you share that information.
You're the
with
liaison.
them. Yes.
You're like that liaison for
Yes.
them in the community. If you have connections within that community that you know needs help, if you can be that knowledgeable person and going, yes, I see you need help with your utilities. You could call this person here. Let me help connect you with them.
Right, because when you all are doing, when your Casa helpers are going out to service the people, they're not just going to find that they're wounded and they're hurt and they're having problems with, they're not treating the kids right or they're not doing everything. But they also have problems with utilities.
Yes.
They have problems with bills. They have problems with house management, house care, all of that stuff. So you're right. And that's a blessing to be able to point them in the right direction and have the connections so
Yes.
that they can be connected.
Yeah.
And I mean,
to educate them
Yes,
to go, hey,
yes.
if you get into a bind, helping them create that support network, that can catch them. So when the kids do go home, they know, hey, if I get into a bind and I need help with food, I know how to get to, because we've shared information and go, hey, I can go to Bridging the Gap. I can go to Salvation Army when I need help with this and this. Well, hey, I need help with, health care. I can go to the Samaritan Clinic.
Yes.
So just help and educate them and going, this is resources for you. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help.
Nothing wrong with
We
it.
all need it.
Yes, at some point
Yes.
in time in our life, we
need it.
help. We need help. And if we continue to live, we're going to continue to need help.
Exactly.
So, the help I need may not be the same help you need, but we still need help. And so the help you give or the help you offer them is going to be help. I'm trying to put it in a way. It's going to be, I want to say complete help, or it's going to be help in every area. I mean, in other words, you can cover a lot of bases based on the information that you have. So even though the problem may be with the child, but then there are so many other areas that they need help with, but you can cover all of those areas. You can cover all of those
We're looking
bases.
at the big picture is what we try to look at and try to be, like, we're not going to fix it ourselves. Like, we're not providing those direct services. Like, we're not going in and counseling.
Right.
We're not going to go in and help provide money for them to get insurance or
Right,
pay for their
right.
health care.
Exactly.
But what we're providing is that access to resources and that knowledge about
That's it.
resources
Yes.
to try to help them help themselves.
Thank you.
And trying to provide that kind of holistic help for the family. And meanwhile, we're still gathering all that information about the child, about the family, how they're doing, what they're doing. Are they following their case plan? And a big piece of that is then, facilitating, again, those resources, but also when it comes time to go back to court, we're providing a written report that goes to the judge and all the other parties in the case with, hey, these are all the things we found out. This is what's going on with the child, the big picture. Here's what's going on with the parents, big picture. And then we're making recommendations to the court based on the child's best interest.
Wow. That's
And then, of course, the judge makes the final decision at the end of the day.
Yes.
But here's as much information as possible so he can make the best decision he can for our children here locally.
Yes.
And then we're there to be able to speak up too, because sometimes we've submitted a report and something comes up at the last minute. Something blows up, someone's had an issue, child's run away, parents have, unfortunately maybe relapsed or had something go on, a tragedy within their family. And we're there, verbally to be able to speak up to the court to go, Judge, we have something else to add to our report. Or, hey, based on this information presented today in court, it changes my recommendation for what I submitted in my written report.
Wow. And I must say that based on what I've heard thus far, this judge had a great idea. This is awesome.
It did, yes.
This is
and it
awesome.
is spread. It's been around since the late 70s.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's incredible. It spread like wildfire. And I wouldn't still be doing this work after 20 years if I didn't fully believe in the program and what we do.
Yes.
If I haven't seen time and time again the impact that a volunteer has made in a child or a family's life, I wouldn't still keep doing it if I didn't believe in it. I wouldn't have invested so much of my time and energy and passion into something that I didn't believe in.
Because at the end of the day, people need to know that you care.
Yes.
They really need to know that you care.
Because they know it's obvious if you're just going through the motions.
Yes.
If you're just being civil and if you really, it's obvious that whether you care or not.
Yes. And so when you show them that you really do care by offering more than just the immediate help.
Right.
Then they're able to say to themselves, prayerfully, somebody does care about me, and I I really need to do better.
And there are so many people that don't know that they've never had, their life has been such that they have never had people treat them with common courtesy and respect. You know, it's just, I tell our volunteers, I'm like, treat everyone like you're talking to the judge. I expect you to treat everyone just with the same amount of respect.
Absolutely.
And compassion as you would talk to our judge.
Because in most cases, I'm thinking that that's what they need. I mean, I'm already wounded. I'm already hurt. I'm already, I'm disappointed. And even though they're going through these things and they feel like, I'm nothing. I'm nobody. I'm horrible. I'm horrible.
That negative self-talk.
But when someone approach them that shows them that they really do care, that can change their whole demeanor, their whole perspective on who they are. So maybe I've looked at myself the wrong way.
It gives them a little glimmer of hope.
Yes, and that is so important.
It is.
It's so important, and especially in our day, and especially in this year. Or last year, or even years before that. But now it's been since last year, it's been extremely crazy.
It has been. And you think the studies have shown that people are experiencing 4 times the normal stress that they have had.
Lord.
So you imagine, the normal everyday life of stress and work and trying to take care of kids. And then you add COVID on top of that.
Oh, my gosh.
We were at a nonprofit alliance meeting with the chamber the other day, and we had a counselor that spoke to us as nonprofit leaders, and he said something that was just so impactful to me, and it was like, you know what? It is okay to not be okay. And to name that and go, I am not okay. I am feeling overwhelmed. I am feeling stressed. I am feeling anxious. Whatever that feeling is, to acknowledge that with people that we trust and go, I'm not all right. Because what's our first response when someone's like, oh, hey, how are you doing? And we go, oh, I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm all right.
Yes.
And we gloss over it. And it's okay. And to know that our families that we're working with and the families that we're serving with nonprofits and service providers, they're not okay at all. They have, if we are feeling this stress and this anxiety and we, hopefully have our stuff together for the most part.
Right.
Imagine that stress that we're feeling on top of not knowing where your next meal is coming from.
Right.
Not having a safe place to live.
Right.
Not having a support network to call on, or having a child that's got a mental health issue, behavioral issue, whatever the case is, on top of that stress that we're all feeling too with, the pandemic. And it's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming, and I know that it has been. And now I have 2 questions, and I'm gonna say them so you will help me remember that.
Okay.
Because I'll be saying, what was I trying to ask her? And let me go ahead and ask before I forget. One, I want to know, can you tell me what are some of the differences between your group and DFACS?
Sure.
Because I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, okay, they sound like DFACS. Okay. And then the second question that I want to find out is, how close do you all work with the school system?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with the first one.
The DFACS, which is a great one. All right, so there is certainly a big difference between us and DFACS. DFACS is, a state program.
Okay.
And the difference is, and we love our community partners. We love our DFACS offices.
Awesome.
And, we work in 3 different counties. We work in Coweta, Heard, and Meriwether.
Okay.
And I cannot say enough good things about the folks that we work with, our leadership at our local DFACS offices, our supervisors, administrators, case managers. These folks are working hard, and they have an incredibly difficult job.
Yes.
So with DFACS, their whole mission is to preserve families whenever possible, which is a very worthwhile mission. And when it's not safe for children to be with their families, they are working to provide services to the child and the family to try to reunify them as quickly as possible.
Yes.
And so that's a little bit of a difference, because the Casa mission is we are focused solely on the best interest of the child, and we're a separate nonprofit, but we work very, very closely with DFACS, with the case managers assigned. The other difference is that with DFACS, they're the ones that actually have physical custody of these children.
Right.
So they have physical custody of these kids. They have to do and provide all the resources and all the services for the child and their parents.
Okay.
So their job is incredibly difficult. Plus, manage the placement for this child. And some of our kids are very challenging to place with sometimes their medical conditions, their mental health or behavioral issues. We have some kids that have experienced significant trauma that are very challenging to place. Once they come into care, whether it's in Coweta, Hurd, or Meriwether, it is that DFACS office's responsibility, and they can place them anywhere within any approved home or facility within the state of Georgia.
Okay. Let me ask you this quick question, and I don't know how much of an answer you can give me. Is it true, because I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, that DFACS is, they have had a really hard time with finding places to place children or homes to place children in.
Right.
Do you know to what extent that is true? Or
It depends. It depends on the area. I will say, especially within Coweta, over the past few years, they've done an amazing job with recruiting and training foster families.
Okay.
We have an amazing foster parents association that kind of supports and helps and mentors each other. It's made up of foster families.
Okay.
So we have a very strong network, a lot of supports here in Coweta for foster families.
Okay.
DFACS also does an incredible job of doing everything they can to prevent from having to remove a child. They will bend over backwards to provide services to the families that come to their attention. They're going to do everything they can not to bring a kid into foster care.
Exactly.
They are also really, really good about, if they have to bring a kid into foster care, doing everything in their power to place that child with a relative.
Okay.
Because a child entering foster care is also a trauma to them.
Yes, it is.
No matter how bad that situation is, it's a massive trauma.
It is.
If you think about as a parent or even as a child, what would be less traumatic for you? Okay, it's going to be a trauma to come into foster care, but hey, if I can go stay with someone I know that I'm familiar with, that's going to help lessen that trauma to a certain extent. So if I can go stay with Aunt Mimi, that's what my nieces and nephews call me, that's going to be less traumatic than if they have to go into the best foster home that's wonderful, that is a perfect middle class, upper middle class, wonderful foster home. If I can go stay with my aunt that I know, that I've spent time with, that I've spent the night at her house before, she knows me, she knows my personality, my likes, my dislikes, that's less traumatic. And so DFACS really does do an amazing job of trying to place kids with family members whenever it's possible and appropriate. And
that is awesome.
They don't get enough credit for the good work that they do for children and families, because you don't get to hear the success stories. You don't get to hear from families where DFACS entered their lives. It was traumatic. Children are removed. You don't get to hear the success stories of, hey, we provided services and helped this family and they were able to safely reunify with their child. You don't get to hear that. You hear the bad stuff, in the media.
Well, I knew of a elderly wife and husband who took in a lot of children.
Right.
Those children grew up in their home.
Right.
And when the father passed, the mother continued to raise them and train them. And she was like their granny. I think that's what they learned to call her. And I tell you what, I've seen some good stuff come out of the foster care system with this particular lady, because she raised these kids, and these kids are very and as a matter of fact, I think she had 3 of them. It was 2 boys, if my memory serves me correctly. It was 3 boys and a girl. Now they are very successful.
Absolutely.
They are adults and they have children.
Right.
And they've done well. And it's all because of Granny taking them in and training and raising them. So that was a good move on DFAC's part to get them into a good, stable, solid house.
Absolutely.
And she raised, and she brought in so many more children until, and of course she's deceased today as well, but
the impact that she had and the seeds that she planted.
Yes.
You know, it's like that whole thing about planting seeds that you may never see to fruition.
Yes.
But you know, no matter what, even if it's not the outcome that you see immediately, you're planting those seeds with those kids into the future.
Yes. And she was a part of the church that I used to attend. And she would have them, she would be in church, she would have them in church. And
she was setting that good
and
example.
like you said, planting those seeds. And I tell you what, it's awesome. So now we are able to see this. She's passed on, but now we can see the fruit of her labor. And so that has been awesome. So now, the school system.
Yes. So I love educators. Love educators.
Well, good. So you and I love each other.
Yes, I have the utmost respect for educators and the educators, having grown up, and the educators that invested in me as a child, and knowing the impact that teachers have on children and the love that they pour into them is incredible. We work as Casa very closely with the schools.
Awesome.
And our local schools are fantastic about working with our Casa volunteers.
Okay.
Because our Casas do have a court order. It's signed by the judge, and that court order gives us access to all that information.
Records, yes.
Medical records, educational records, mental health records, and so including protected health information, because certainly we should protect people's protected health information. That's very important. But that court order does give us access to those records, and so we present that court order to the school so that they know that it's safe to share information with us.
Okay.
You know, we're gathering information not only about the kids' grades,
right,
but like their social, how do they interact with other kids, with teachers. Because, let's face it, our teachers are spending a lot of time with these kids.
Yes.
They know the children in their classroom.
Yes.
They know when they're having a bad day.
Yes.
They know when they're struggling.
Absolutely.
They know if something's going on that is different and changed in their life.
Yes.
And so having frequent communication with the teachers, with the school counselors, if the school counselor is familiar with this child, or other administrators. And I just can't say enough, great stuff about our local schools and how they work with us and partner with us. They're fantastic. And it's hard because sometimes we can't turn back around and share information with them because it is confidential information.
Absolutely.
It's almost not, we feel like it's not fair because we're like, I'm so sorry. I wish I could tell you what's going on with the court case or with foster care. But just know that what you're doing makes a difference and the information you're providing makes a difference and that it is being shared with the people that it needs to be shared with.
Yes, because confidentiality is
very, we can't preach that enough.
Extreme in this day and hour. And it needs to be.
It should
because you get information into the wrong hands.
Yes.
That is just like tearing it all. Everything you built up is torn down.
I agree.
And so we have to be careful. You just don't know who you can trust. So let's make sure that we keep the confidentiality piece private, sacred, and secure.
It is, because we tell our volunteers all the time, we're like, look, you can't share this information with anyone, even your spouse, your loved one, your kids, whatever, your neighbor. You can't share this information with anyone. I tell them sometimes, I'm like, you're like the private detective for the judge. The judge is your client. And if you're working as a PI and you're out there gathering information, you're not going to give that information to just anyone. You're only going to give it to your clients. And that's why it's so important to protect confidentiality. The other thing is with the families and the children that we serve, there are a lot of people that do have access to their protected health information and their family business. And we should be considerate of that fact. And no one else should be having access to their family business that doesn't absolutely have to have access to that. Because put yourself in their shoes and how you would feel if that was the case. And it was your family being involved with the system and someone checking into your health records.
Exactly.
And your counseling records and your children's information.
Right.
How would you feel about that?
Right. And you know, I do not consider myself a nosy person. I don't have to know.
Yeah.
I'm that type of person where if you don't tell me,
it's
I
not
don't have to know, because I view myself as being that person. I have enough to deal with.
Amen.
With me.
With me, myself,
yes. I mean, I'm trying to keep up with my stuff. I don't have time to deal with yours. And to me, that it's a weight.
Yes.
It's a weight. So I don't want any other weight on me by trying to keep up with someone else's and trying to dig and find out what else is going on with other people. Because if the truth be told, you give them a little time, you're going to find out anyway.
It's going to come out. It's going to be obvious. Yes.
But in this case, with these parents and the children, you know, they're going through enough.
Yes. Why traumatize them additionally by spreading their business to people that have no business knowing about their family situation?
And can't help.
Yeah.
They cannot help. You have nothing to offer.
Right.
But gossip and lies for the most part.
Right.
So I agree with that. And by me being an educator and working in the school system, I know how this works with records and private information and things of that nature. So we, you know, of course, we have been told, and we're told on a regular basis, how confidential records are, and whatever's going on with families, that's confidential, and we don't need it out there. We don't need to be the ones that's taking it out there and spreading it in the community. So, and I knew you all had to work with the school system.
Absolutely.
And that's awesome, because the school system needs help.
Of course they
with the children, because I know, and I can say this for Mattress Middle School, as long as I've been there, we've been around, our numbers have been in the thousands. Wow. We've had 1,000+ kids at that school pretty much every year that I've been there.
Wow.
So, and when I say 1,000+, I'm talking about they have gone up to right at the tip of 1,300 kids at a time.
Wow.
But the thing about it is, they're in and out. They're cycled in and out, because probably more than likely, some of the kids that you all are working with, they're at Madras, then they move out of Madras and they go somewhere else. So you're in and out. People are moving, and then
very
because
transitional.
And because of parents' job replacement or whatever, they're in and out. But we have a lot of kids to deal with. You know, we have. I'm going to say they still have a lot of kids to deal with. Now they are building a new middle school that's going to take some of those kids from them. But right now, those are the numbers, and of course, the pandemic kind of severed it a little bit. Kind of, you know, some are at home, some are at school, so that helped.
Which also, you worry about those kids that are doing the remote learning, because no one's laying the eyes on them. And you think about those kids, school is their safe place.
It is.
It's their safe place.
It is.
They know it's consistent. There's a routine, there's a schedule, and there's food.
Yes.
And for some of our children, that's not the case
at
home.
No.
And they don't have the support, and the parents don't have the support. They don't have the supervision of the children. They don't have the resources as far as, like, sometimes internet and that, you know, technology access to help their children, or that knowledge to be able to help their children with online schooling. And so a lot of kids, and they didn't have those folks laying eyes on them every day to make sure that they were okay.
I know, and I have to say this, Amanda. So a lot of people may not agree with it, but I'm just one of those that I thought when the pandemic came and when they started talking about shutting down, I'm like, are we serious, y'all? Are we really serious about it? And I know a lot of people would say, well, they needed to shut down. We needed to be in our houses so that we would not catch whatever was out there.
Right.
But I really think it was more damage done shutting down and being housed in than it would have been done if we could have just kept going the way we're supposed to, because, you know, I kept hearing this thing about herd immunity. And I'm thinking, okay, so is anybody listening out there to that? I don't know. I did not like that at all.
Well, again, it just added a whole nother level of stress to the families that we're working
already
with.
in a mess.
That here, now I'm having to figure this out. Do I keep working?
Yes.
Do I stay at home? Well, if I stay at home and I leave my kids at home and I'm not supervising them, DFACS is going to get called on me for improper supervision. Or, hey, they're doing online school, but I can't really support them with online school, so now they're being educationally neglected. I mean, it put a whole nother ton of weight on families that were already struggling, you know, significantly and needed that help and that support.
And I talked personally, and we're coming to the end of the broadcast, but I talked personally with a young lady who's a psychiatrist, and she said, oh my gosh, she said, I am overwhelmed.
Oh, I
she
can't
said,
imagine.
My caseload.
They're slammed.
Yes, that's what she said. She said, I am slammed. She said, my caseload is extreme. She said, I don't even seem like I'm trying to find time for myself now.
Oh, yeah.
She said, because, excuse me, it just took off.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out why, how.
And at least people are being brave enough to admit, again, hey, it's okay to not be okay, and I need that therapy and that support.
Yes.
And being brave enough to reach out and start counseling. So, I mean, that's what we hope for everyone is when you need help, you get that help. Reach out and tell someone, I'm struggling and I need it.
Yes. So, Amanda, I'm going to get whatever information I can get from you, so that I can post it when I do this post on Facebook, so I can post it and I can say to these guys, listen, very interesting interview today. This is something I think you need to know about. If you have someone that's going through some things and they need help, let's get in touch with Casa.
Sure.
Because parents can come to you without having to go through the court system.
We are happy to help, like, refer people out for services.
Okay.
Like, if it's something that they are struggling trying to figure out resources, because I'm also involved with Coweta Family Connection. I'm on their board of directors.
Okay,
and we are the collaboration of, you know, both business and nonprofits and families and service providers.
Okay.
And so I can tap into that network as well and go, hey, we have a family that's contacted us that needs help with this.
Okay.
You know, and if I don't already know a service, I can reach out to our network, which is the power of that network.
Okay.
And try to find help for that family. So yes, we are happy to help families within our community.
Okay, awesome. So that's what we'll do. And Amanda, thank you. I've learned a lot, and now I can personally, as a church family, I can add you all to my list of resources. Just in case, because, hey,
you don't know.
You know, we deal with these people.
Yes, you do.
In the church setting, and they're looking for help, and sometimes they just don't want a sermon. Okay?
Yeah.
They do not want a sermon.
They're going to get one from you, though.
Oh, yes, they are.
Right?
But they need more help. So this year, last year, I've gotten so many resources.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you, God, and I don't take it for granted. I'm getting it, and I'm saying, okay, God, you know, you're putting me in touch with these people
for a reason.
For a reason, because evidently you're going to put somebody in
that needs that.
Yes. That, you know, they don't want me to preach to them right now.
Right.
You know,
I just need the help.
Yes, I need some help. We'll talk about the Bible later.
Yeah.
When I can get my mind right.
Yeah, because you can't focus on that higher level spirituality if you don't know where your next meal's coming from.
Yes, and that's what the scripture says. You know, how can you say you love your brother if they need a coat
and you don't give it to them? Mm-hmm. But you're trying to give them a sermon.
That's right. And I believe in the sermons now. But I do know that when they need that help, they need that help. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
And now, let me just say this. We met. I had to come in your office for a replacement.
Yeah.
Right here. And I said, let me go over here and ask these ladies if they would come and talk with me. And you all couldn't at the moment, and that was great. That was okay. but I was still able to say, will you? Because
Yes.
when you told me, when I found out who you all were, I said, I need to know about them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that
Me too.
that it happened that way. And I'm glad that we were able to connect and have this interview. So again, thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Pastor Ellison. Again, my friend, until next Tuesday, be blessed and be safe.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Ellis, and I'm the pastor here at Noonan City Church. I want to thank you for tuning in to our website, and hope that you'll take the time to look throughout the website, all the different activities that are going on in the life of our church.
Dad, can you drive me to practice? Hey, Mom, can we go get a new mitt?
Hey, Danny, let's go to the park and hit a few.
Hey, Mom, can you take me to Chris's so I can practice my line drives? Mom, Dad, I made the team.
American Family Insurance understands dreams don't just happen. They take a lot of support and a lot of driving. Auto insurance from American Family. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly. Get a quote. Find an agent. amfam.com.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company assigned its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
So let's say you're into yoga or Pilates, or maybe you dabble in gymnastics like me. Either way, you know being flexible is key to doing what you love. That's why Smoothie King created the Stretch and Flex smoothie for people like us, with whole fruits and organic veggies, plus type 2 collagen. Make it part of your daily fitness routine to support flexibility and joint health. So try the Stretch and Flex smoothie in tart cherry or pineapple kale. Order online today for pickup or delivery. Smoothie King, rule the day.